Max Verstappen and Ben Sulayem have been in the news after the last race in Jeddah, where you could see that the Dutch driver was really upset when the FIA president got into an argument with Max at the end of the race. This is just another step in the wrong direction for the most controversial president in FIA history. And the question we're asking right now is, should Ben Sulayem leave his job because of all the hate being aimed at him? There are definitely not enough words to describe all the bad things being said about Mohammed Ben Sulayem, but it's not all for the wrong reasons either. We've seen that he doesn't have the respect of the top superstars of the sport, including Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. And in Jeddah, that was really easy to see. Ben Sulayem has tried over and over again to be seen while walking behind the drivers during their press meetings. And at one point, he tried to force a conversation with Lewis Hamilton, but the seven-time world champion didn't pay any attention at all and just kept walking away. But now, with all the drama, the chat that the FIA president had with Max Verstappen after the Jeddah Grand Prix ended is something that got a lot of people talking about whether Ben Sulayem is just trying too hard to keep his job. There were rumors that he told Verstappen that he's not allowed to talk badly about the controversial first lap in Jeddah where the Red Bull driver got a 5-second penalty. However, you could see that Max didn't like the conversation at all, and so he made sure to show his feelings loud and clear towards Ben Sulayem. On the other hand, what we can see is that not many drivers are following the rules of the governing body when it comes to the no swearing rule. The fact that this was a decision that wasn't supported by everyone in the FIA shows that the president doesn't have the full support of the people below him. And that was seen by the latest changes and firing of workers who weren't very happy with how he acted on this matter. Verstappen said no to the rumors that he was punished by Ben Sulayem about swearing on the radio on the first lap, but he didn't want to talk about it anymore because he said it very clearly that people cannot handle the truth. He also went on to say that he doesn't want to speak about this matter for one reason only. He's going to get punished because of the harsh politics of the FIA. And this might be one more reason why the president's time is now almost up. Now, what needs to be mentioned is the most important part of this topic is that there is a meeting that should be about the FIA presidency. Everything that's happening right now has a very bad impact on Ben Sulayem's chances of staying president of the FIA. But instead of him getting re-elected like he hopes, he's likely to be replaced. For us to understand a bit more about the problems inside the FIA, we need to hear from some important people like the ex-vice president of the governing body, Robert Reid. He is not the first member to leave his job lately, and it's very likely that others will follow because of the increased problems in the team. There have been reports that Ben Sulayem is firing people, or at least putting them in a position to quit because of what they believe. So if this turns out to be true, then we would need to look at a huge change within the inner circles of the FIA. There have been some pretty direct insults to the sport. And when there was a direct offer from the Saudi Arabian fund to buy the sports rights from Liberty Media, which were said no to immediately by the USA company, Ben Sulayem said that F1 shouldn't think too highly of itself. This hurt the potential partnerships that are yet to come, and it wasn't accepted well at all. But as I mentioned earlier in this video, it's just another dark spot in the rule of Ben Sulayem. Keep in mind that there was an event where two very important members of the FIA were stopped from attending a key World Motorsport Council meeting because they refused to sign a non-disclosure agreement, or an NDA, which is something that Ben Sulayem has pushed for heavily. One of them was the ex-vice president Robert Reid, while the other one was David Richards, the chairman of Motorsport UK. It was a very important meeting because one of the top talking points was the mandatory two-stop rule in Monaco, which is now official, but still making attending members sign an NDA makes people question where the FIA interests really are. Of course, this is very good for keeping the meeting private. But the rule of the FIA is now getting worse, and refusing to be open in their work is something that's been called out by the GPDA, or more precisely, George Russell. When it comes to Robert Reid, the reason why he left the FIA is pretty clear. He just didn't agree with how decisions were being made. His belief is that the FIA is currently fighting for standards that he doesn't stand for, which makes racing less competitive and adds a lot of politics to the sport without any good reason. Of course, all of these people quitting and the internal changes will be a huge argument against Ben Sulayem headed into the meeting that is supposed to win the votes of the most important members of the commission, but he's afraid that he might lose the job because of these situations. His belief is that apart from Verstappen, he's one of the most hated people among the British media, which is why the story around his presidency is so negative. But again, as I mentioned earlier in this video, it doesn't actually help him that the GPDA is speaking very badly against his rule as well. George Russell asked for a lot more openness from the FIA as he went on, to say that the drivers and the members of the GPDA are not happy, that they have absolutely no idea what's going on behind closed doors. Going further on this, Russell said, "Unfortunately, every time we hear some news from that side of the sport, the FIAs, it's not really a big surprise. So it's clearly a real shame to see someone who's very well respected within the sport and has been there for so long. As we keep saying what's next, yeah, it's a shame to see, and hopefully we can get more stability sooner rather than later." What's even more important is that Russell feels that the drivers, the ones who are putting their lives at risk doing what they're doing week in and week out once they step into the cars, do not have a say in this story. Everyone knows that it's going in the wrong direction. That's not the question. The question is whether or not someone can do something to stop it from turning into a bigger disaster. Talking about their lack of power and what he feels should change right away, Russell said, "In the end, it's getting to a point now where these things are happening so often. As drivers, we all tried to get involved in the past, didn't make much progress, and things seem to be continuously going in an unstable direction. I've got to be honest, we're getting to a point now where our actions are having little impact with those guys, and we've got to trust in the teams and Formula One to work with the FIA to come to a common ground, and if we can help, we want to be there. But often it seems as if things are going in one direction. All of the drivers have 100% trust and faith in Stefano Domenicali and F1, and we know that they will work together with the teams. It's in all of our interests to make something come of all of this and see stability and working together moving forward. We just want to work together. It doesn't make any sense to be fighting on these topics. And here we are having the president of the FIA treating the governing body as if it's his own backyard. So it would be very nice for everyone to remind him that there is a lot behind closed doors. Yes, there is an authority that needs to be respected, but if you turn that authority into a dictatorship, then it's easy for the drivers to get angry and unhappy with the leadership of the FIA. Even the latest change of the rules getting a lot of hate is not helping the governing body at all, as calls for the V10s to return have sparked false hope for the future of the sport. And to close things in a very modern way, Russell said that this is a topic that's been going on for quite a long time now, 6 months to be exact. And the more airtime he gives it, the more undeserved attention it gets. Either way, Ben Sulayem understands that his presidency is under threat, and regardless of whether or not he accepts it, the situation stands as it is. So with all of this in mind, have we seen the final scene for the controversial president? Let us know in the comments below. And once you do that, make sure to click on the video that'll be appearing on your screen right now.